Well, Turkey's Lira has rallied after the central bank delivered more relief to borrowers. It slashed interest rates for the second time in less than 2 months to try to spur growth. The one-week borrowing rate has been cut by 325 basis points to 16.5%. In July, the central bank had cut it by 425 basis points from a multi-year high of 24%. The inflation rate is down to 15% from a peak of 25% in October. That gives the central bank more space to cut borrowing costs. Well, for more on this, Taha Arvas joins us now in the studio. He's a financial columnist for the Daily Sabah newspaper. Good to have you back, Taha. Now, this is the second big cut to interest rates since Murat Uysal took over as Turkey's central bank governor. Tell us more about why he's made this latest move.
I mean, we saw what happened out of the ECB today. We just had this guest on a second ago. What's happening is there's a global slowdown, and many countries are trying to decrease their interest rates. And Turkey specifically has had a very massive decrease in inflation, which is great for investors and for consumers. So the central bank is doing what's necessary. It's decreasing interest rates, which still gives a positive net return to investors, but it's also allowing for lower financing costs for industry.
Okay, and how will that hopefully boost the economy here?
It will, because suddenly in the last year, Turkey's inflation and financing costs had spiked for a while. And in that respect, it makes it very difficult to make investments because it's cheaper it's much easier to just invest in bonds and get a return rather than making an investment in the real economy. So investments in the real economy will improve. This will help employment as well and put more more money in people's pockets and allow them to consume more, further bolstering the economy.
Okay, so this policy of monetary easing, cutting interest rates, how much lower can rates go, do you think?
Well, I mean, you see what it is in the ECB. They're already at minus 0.5%. Globally, this is the trend. I mean, you saw what President Trump said recently about what he wants the Federal Reserve to do. This appears to be where we're headed. A protracted term, and we had 10 years, frankly, of near zero rates in the United States and the ECB, and we're going back there, it appears. So this is a new paradigm shift. The new normal is again back to us. We had a short period of increasing interest rates in the United States, but that has changed. It appears that the world is into a phase of close to zero interest rates. In Turkey, inflation had gone down as far as 4%, annually. So if we go back there, then interest rates have much way to can go much lower.
Let's talk about some of the global headwinds affecting, I guess, all the economies, including Turkey's.
Right.
The US-China trade war, perhaps the prospect of a hard Brexit in the UK. I mean, how are those issues having an impact on the Turkish economy, or is Turkey a bit shielded from all that?
It's shielded in that, Turkey is benefiting from those because it's a relatively safe haven. I mean, if you look at all these other countries, we were talking about the Netherlands and Germany opposing cuts in the interest rates with the ECB. They're afraid that the economy, this won't help, that the European economy will get even worse. We see what's happening with the US and China. We see what's happening with Brexit, like you said. There are existential threats to the economies of many major countries. Turkey is lucky in that Europe and the United States are its largest exporting partners, and if these banks, the Federal Reserve and the ECB step up to bolster their own economies, then that will help Turkey's customers for export markets, and that will only help Turkey's economy. So it's relatively lucky because we have 3 years before a new election. Politics are stable in Turkey. We have a mixed bag of political parties in power, which makes it great for the economy. Investors generally invest more in these periods.
Now, the US Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross has just wrapped up a visit to Ankara where he met with President Erdogan, the finance minister, the trade minister and other officials. How would you describe the state of US-Turkey ties, particularly in that, I guess, economic space?
I would describe it as surprisingly great, which is, I mean, despite all the potential problems that Turkey could have had with the United States, it's doing really great. I think President Trump is pragmatic in his approach to Turkey. He realizes that Turkey is an important partner, both in the region and globally. And Turkey realizes that only cooperation with the United States and other powers globally will help its growth. And so, it's kumbaya all over the world right now with Turkey and other powers, and I can't imagine it. Hopefully, it will get better, but I can't imagine everything's great right now. I can't imagine it getting even better. But who knows? Maybe it will be.
Okay, well, let's see what happens. Taha Arvas, always good to get your thoughts.
Thank you.